Imagine a landscape where your only neighbor is the weather. Lencho lived in a single house set high on a low hill, entirely separated from the rest of the valley. Looking down at his fields, he saw a crop of ripe corn and flowers that practically guaranteed a massive harvest. He watched the clouds all morning, seeing the incoming rain as literal income. In his mind, big drops were 10-cent coins, and small drops were fives. Then the wind shifts. The rain hardens into a hailstorm. For an hour, heavy blocks of ice pummeled the fields, stripping the flowers from their stems and shredding the corn. When the storm finally passes, the green fields are gone. The landscape is covered in a thick layer of white ice, looking as if someone had blanketed the earth in salt. Staring at the ruined stalks, Lencho calculates the damage. He notes that a swarm of locusts eating their way through the valley would have left more behind than the hail did. Because of his physical isolation, Lencho has no neighbors to lean on and no local authorities to petition for aid. With his livelihood wiped out in 60 minutes, his family's survival now rests on forces outside of his control. That night, the mathematical reality sets in. The family has 0 food reserves remaining to carry them through the year. Facing this, Lencho relies on a singular belief that the divine will intervene directly in his life to provide what the earth didn't. This text excerpt shows how pragmatic his demand is. He doesn't ask for abstract blessings. He writes a formal letter to God, asking for exactly 100 pesos so he can resow his fields and feed his family. He walks into town, buys a postage stamp, and drops his plea into a standard metal mailbox. By treating God as a direct correspondent, Lencho bypasses the human world. He places the entire weight of his rescue on a recipient he considers incapable of making a mistake. Down in the valley, the letter enters the systematic reality of the local post office, where mail is sorted by address and routed by strict rules. A postman processing the day's collection pulls out an anomaly, a letter addressed simply to God. He shows it to his boss, laughing at the idea of trying to deliver it. The postmaster initially joins in, but as he looks at the envelope, he becomes serious. He is struck by the fact that someone possessed the absolute confidence to actually mail this. He realizes how much is at stake for the sender. He doesn't want to see that kind of conviction met with total silence, so he decides the post office will be the one to respond. The letter had traveled from a lonely hillside to a sorting table and was now turning a routine clerical job into a humanitarian mission. The postmaster decides he will step into the role of the provider. He chooses to answer the letter himself, ensuring Lencho's request wouldn't go ignored. He crowdsources funds, pulling cash from his salary and asking friends and employees to contribute what they can. But human charity has limits. Despite their collective sacrifice, they cannot reach the full amount. The total stops at 70 pesos. Looking at the text again, we see the final step. He puts the collected money into an envelope, addresses it to Lencho, and signs it with the name God. There is no magic waiting in that envelope. It contains a collection of small sacrifices made by people who wanted to help a stranger. The following Sunday, Lencho arrives at the post office earlier than usual. He steps up to the counter, waiting to collect the payout he is certain to receive. The postman hands him the envelope, while the postmaster watches from his office. Lencho opens it without a single flinch of surprise. He counts the bills, but instead of showing relief, Lencho's face twists into immediate anger. In Lencho's mind, God is incapable of a 30 peso error. If the money is missing, it cannot be a divine mistake. Because his rules of faith are so rigid, he is forced to interpret the collective effort of the post office staff as a malicious crime. Without hesitating, Lencho grabs ink and paper at the public desk and drafts an immediate reply. This text shows his final accusation. He demands the remaining money, but tells God not to send it through the mail again, calling the employees there a bunch of crooks. The same faith that gave Lencho the strength to survive also prevented him from seeing the world as it actually was. As this document points out, Lencho trusts God completely, but fails to recognize the human help right in front of him. His belief in the invisible erased the real, visible work of the people trying to save his farm. Faith provides an anchor in a crisis, but we must ensure it doesn't stop us from seeing the people who are actually answering our prayers.